Edge of Tomorrow from 2014 is a science fiction action film that combines intense battle scenes with a clever time loop narrative. In the near future, an alien race known as the Mimics invades Earth, decimating entire cities and overwhelming humanity's defenses with their speed and destructive capabilities. Despite humanity's best efforts, the war against the Mimics seems unwinnable. The story begins with Major William Bill Cage, a public relations officer for the United Defense Force, who has never seen combat. Cage's job is to sell the war to the public and recruit more soldiers, using his charm and media savvy. Cage is unexpectedly ordered by his superior, General Brigham, to cover a major offensive in France, where the UDF plans to launch a massive assault against the Mimics, hoping to turn the tide of the war. Cage, terrified of the idea of combat and untrained as a soldier, attempts to refuse the assignment. However, his refusal leads to him being labeled a deserter, demoted to a private, and forcibly deployed to the front lines under the command of Master Sergeant Farrell. The following day, Cage is dropped onto the beaches of France with the rest of J Squad, a misfit group of soldiers. The assault is a disaster. The Mimics are ready for the attack and slaughter the UDF forces with ease. Amid the chaos, Cage manages to kill a rare mimic called an Alpha, but in the process, he is mortally wounded. However, as he dies, he is covered in the Alpha's blood, which triggers an extraordinary event. Cage wakes up to find himself back at the base, reliving the same day he just experienced. He is stuck in a time loop, forced to repeat the day of the failed assault over and over. Each time he dies, he wakes up at the same point on the morning of his deployment, with all his memories intact. Initially confused and horrified, Cage eventually realizes that he is reliving the same day endlessly, giving him a unique opportunity to change his fate. In one of these loops, Cage encounters Sergeant Rita, a highly skilled and celebrated soldier known as the Angel of Verdun, for her heroics in a previous battle. During one loop, Rita recognizes that Cage is experiencing the same phenomenon she once did. She had also been caught in a time loop after killing an Alpha, but lost the ability after a blood transfusion. Rita urges Cage to find her when he wakes up again. Cage seeks out Rita and under her guidance, begins to train intensively. Each time he dies, he learns from his mistakes, improving his combat skills, and gaining a deeper understanding of the Mimics' tactics. Rita and Cage discover that the Mimics are controlled by a central brain called the Omega, hidden somewhere in Europe. The Alphas act as the Omega's generals, and the time loop is the Omega's way of resetting the day whenever an Alpha is killed, allowing the Mimics to adapt to humanity's strategies. The two of them work together, with Cage repeatedly going through the day, learning more with each loop. Cage and Rita decide that they must locate and destroy the Omega to end the war, once and for all. As they get closer to their goal, the strain on Cage grows, and he begins to struggle with the emotional toll of watching Rita die repeatedly, knowing that she will not remember their experiences. In one loop, Cage and Rita manage to reach the Omega's supposed location in Germany, only to find it is a trap set by the Mimics. Cage is severely wounded and loses his ability to reset the day after receiving a blood transfusion. Now, without the safety net of the time loop, Cage knows that their next attempt will be their last. With no other choice, Cage and Rita rally a small group of soldiers for a final desperate mission to infiltrate the Mimics' nest in Paris, where they believe the Omega is truly hidden. The team fights their way through the Mimics, and one by one, they are killed until only Cage and Rita remain. In a final act of sacrifice, Rita distracts the last Alpha, allowing Cage to reach the Omega. Cage manages to destroy the Omega by detonating explosives, killing it, and triggering a massive explosion that eradicates the Mimic forces. As the Omega dies, its blood engulfs Cage, causing him to be sent back in time once more. This time, however, he wakes up before his initial demotion back in General Brigham's office with the war already won. The Mimics inexplicably defeated overnight with no one understanding why. In the film's final moments, Cage visits Rita, who, not remembering him, coldly asks what he wants. Cage simply smiles, knowing that the future has been irrevocably changed and that he and Rita have saved the world. Edge of Tomorrow masterfully combines science fiction with action, exploring the themes of sacrifice, heroism, and the burden of knowledge. The film's unique take on time loops creates a dynamic narrative that keeps the audience engaged from start to finish. Subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to get notifications on our new videos.